The darkness inside the War Council chamber was complete for several seconds. Then lights began to glow, revealing a room that made Lisa's breath catch in her throat. The chamber was enormous, with walls that curved up into shadows high above. The floor was polished black stone arranged in a perfect circle. Around the edges of the circle stood 12 figures that made her blood run cold. These were not regular Keltheran soldiers. These were something much worse. Each figure was nearly 9 feet tall, covered in armor that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their shells were darker than the regular Keltherans, almost, black with razor-sharp spikes along their arms and backs. Red lights glowed where their eyes should be, and when they moved, Lisa could hear the soft whisper of advanced technology. She had heard about these creatures in intelligence briefings, but seeing them was different. These were the Shadow Caste, the most feared assassins in known space. They had never failed to kill a target. Ever. Lisa walked slowly to the center of the circle. Each step echoed in the vast chamber. She could feel 12 pairs of glowing red eyes tracking her movement. Their weapons were unlike anything she had seen before. One held a blade that seemed to cut through the air itself. Another carried a device that hummed with deadly energy. When she reached the exact center of the circle, Lisa did something that surprised even herself. She sat down cross-legged on the cold stone floor. She placed her hands in her lap and looked up at the assembled killers. The silence stretched on for long minutes. Lisa could hear her own heartbeat and the quiet hum of alien technology. She expected them to attack immediately, but they just stood there, watching her. Finally, one of the assassins stepped forward. He was larger than the others, with scars across his dark shell that spoke of countless battles. When he spoke, his voice was deep and cold. "I am Razorwing Keth, First Blade of the Shadow Caste. You are Ambassador Lisa Martinez of Earth." "That's right," Lisa replied. Her voice sounded small in the huge chamber, but it was steady. "We have studied your species for many months. We have watched your soldiers fight. We know your weapons and your tactics. We expected you to enter this chamber, armed for battle." Lisa looked up at him calmly. "Would that have changed anything?" Keth tilted his head slightly, a gesture that seemed almost curious. "You would have died fighting. There is honor in that, even for weak creatures." "Maybe. But I would still be dead, and my people would still be at war with yours." Lisa shifted, slightly on the hard floor. The stone was cold and uncomfortable, but she ignored the discomfort. She had been in worse situations during her diplomatic training. Well, maybe not worse, but definitely uncomfortable. "You show no fear," observed another assassin. This one carried a weapon that looked like it could vaporize a building. "Fear won't help me here," Lisa said. "You've already decided whether to kill me or not. Being scared won't change that decision." The assassins exchanged glances. Lisa could see confusion in their body language. Their heads tilted at angles that suggested they were communicating through some kind of technology she couldn't detect. Razorwing. Keth stepped closer. His massive form blocked out the light from above, casting Lisa in shadow. "In our culture, prey always fights or runs. You do neither." "I'm not prey," Lisa replied simply. "I'm a diplomat. My job is to talk, not fight. But you cannot negotiate from a position of weakness. You have no weapons, no armor, no backup. We could kill you in 100 different ways before you could even stand up." Lisa nodded. "You're absolutely right. You could kill me very easily. So could a lot of things. Cars back on Earth kill people every day. So do storms and diseases and accidents. I could have died in the shuttle crash we had last month. But I didn't." The assassin with the energy weapon made a sound that might have been laughter. "You compare us to your primitive transportation devices. I'm saying that death is always possible. I accepted that risk when I took this job. Fear of dying doesn't help me do my work better." Keth moved around her in a slow circle, studying her from different angles. Lisa turned her head to follow his movement, but she didn't try to stand or change her position. "Your files say you have killed before," he said. "Yes. During the colony wars, before I became a diplomat. I was a soldier then." Yet you carry no weapons now. Because I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm here to prevent killing, not cause it, another assassin spoke up. We are told that humans fight with great fury when threatened. Where is your fury? Lisa considered the question seriously. Fury is useful in some situations, but this isn't one of them. Getting angry at you won't make you less likely to kill me. It might actually make it more likely. The assassins began moving restlessly. They shifted their weight from foot to foot and adjusted their grips on their weapons. Lisa could see that her responses were not what they had expected. You should be begging for your life, Keth said, or trying to bargain with us, or at least asking us questions about what we plan to do. Would any of that change your plans? Keth stopped moving. For the first time since she had entered the chamber, he seemed genuinely uncertain. I do not know. Lisa smiled slightly. It was not a big smile, just a small one that barely moved her lips. Then maybe we should find out. The transport shuttle shook as it broke through the thick atmosphere of Kelthera Prime. Ambassador Lisa Martinez gripped her seat and watched the alien world grow larger through the small window. Dark mountains stretched across the horizon like broken teeth. Red lightning flickered through purple clouds that never seemed to rain. 5 minutes to landing, Ambassador, called out the pilot. His voice carried the tension that everyone felt. This was not a normal diplomatic mission. This was probably a death sentence. Lisa looked around the shuttle at her security team. Captain Jake Morrison sat across from her, checking his plasma rifle for the 10th time. Sergeant Amy Collins was reviewing tactical maps on her tablet. The other 4 Marines were quiet, but their hands never moved far from their weapons. Ma'am, we still think this is a trap, Morrison said. He was a good man, built like a wall and twice as stubborn. The Keltherans have never invited humans to their homeworld before. Every intelligence report says they want us dead. Lisa nodded. She had read the same reports. The Keltheran Empire controlled 47 star systems and had been expanding for 300 years. They were 8 feet tall with shells like armor and claws that could cut through steel. Their culture worshipped strength and despised weakness. They had never signed a peace treaty with anyone. I know the risks, Captain, she said. But if we don't try to talk, we'll definitely end up at war. Hearth can't win that fight. The shuttle touched down on a platform made of black stone. Lisa could see Keltheran guards waiting outside, their shells gleaming in the strange light of their red sun. Each guard carried weapons that looked like they could destroy a tank. The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Hot air rushed in, smelling of sulfur and metal. Lisa stood up and walked toward the exit, but Morrison grabbed her arm. Let us go first, Ambassador. That's what we're here for. Lisa pulled free gently. No, Jake. Diplomatic protocol says the ambassador leads. She stepped out onto the platform. The gravity was heavier than Earth's, making her legs work harder with each step. The Keltheran guards towered over her, their black eyes studying her, like she was some kind of strange insect. One of the guards stepped forward. When he spoke, a translator device on his chest turned his clicking sounds into human words. I am Commander Thexval. You will follow me to the War Council chambers. Lisa's team formed up around her as they walked across the platform. The Keltheran architecture was all sharp angles and dark metal. Buildings rose like spears into the cloudy sky. Strange symbols were carved into every surface, probably warnings or threats. They entered a massive building through doors that were 20 feet high. The hallways inside were wide enough for vehicles to drive through. Everything was built for beings much larger than humans. The War Council will see only one human, Commander Thexval announced as they reached another set of enormous doors. That human must enter alone and completely unarmed. Morrison stepped forward immediately. That's not happening. The ambassador doesn't go anywhere without security. Then she dies here, and you die with her, the commander replied without emotion. Those are the terms. No weapons, no armor, no communication devices. Nothing. Lisa felt her heart beating faster. She had expected something like this, but hearing it made it real. The Keltherans wanted her helpless before they killed her. It was probably some kind of ritual execution. Ambassador, we can't agree to this, Morrison said. Let me go instead. You're not a diplomat, Captain. And you're definitely not expendable. Lisa looked at the massive doors. Behind them was almost certain death. But turning around meant war. And war meant billions of people would die instead of just one. She began unbuckling her body armor. The ceramic plates were light but strong, designed to stop energy weapons. She set them on the floor piece by piece. "Ma'am, what are you doing?" Sergeant Collins asked. "My job," Lisa replied. She removed her sidearm, a small pulse pistol that could put a hole through a tree. Then came her communication earpiece, her emergency beacon, and the tiny medical injector in her sleeve. Morrison watched in horror as she stripped away every piece of protection. "Lisa, this is suicide. They're going to tear you apart in there." She looked up at him. Jake Morrison had saved her life twice in the past year. He was a good friend and an excellent soldier. "Maybe, but if I don't try, then everyone dies anyway." Lisa stood in front of the doors wearing only her simple diplomatic uniform. No weapons, no armor, no way to call for help. She felt more naked than if she had been wearing nothing at all. "If I'm not out in 6 hours, take the shuttle and leave," she told her team. "Don't try to rescue me, just get back to Earth and tell them what happened." Commander Thexval studied her with those cold black eyes. "You are very small for a human. Diplomat." "Size doesn't matter much in my job," Lisa replied. The doors began to open with a sound like thunder. Beyond them lay darkness and the unknown. Lisa took a deep breath and walked forward. Behind her, she heard Morrison curse quietly in 3 different languages. The doors closed with a final boom that echoed through the hallway. Lisa Martinez was alone in the most dangerous place in the galaxy, with nothing but her words and her courage to keep her alive. 3 hours had passed since Lisa entered the chamber. The assassins were no longer standing in perfect formation. Some had moved closer to her. Others had set their weapons down on the floor. The change was so gradual that none of them seemed to notice it happening. Razor Wing Keth was now sitting on the stone floor across from Lisa. His massive form was still intimidating, but his posture had changed. He no longer looked like a predator ready to strike. He looked like someone having a difficult conversation. "Tell me about your world," Lisa said. "Not the military reports or the political stuff. Tell me what it's like to live there." Keth was quiet for a long moment. "Kelthera Prime is a harsh world. The storms never stop. The ground shakes every few days from volcanic activity. Most of the planet is covered in metal forests where the trees grow like knives. It sounds dangerous. It is. Only the strong survive to adulthood. Weakness means death." Lisa nodded. "That explains a lot about your culture. When survival is that hard, you have to be tough." Another assassin joined the conversation. This one had been silent until now. "I remember playing in the metal forests as a youngling. My clutchmates and I would race through the sharp branches. Many of us were cut, but we learned to move quickly." "Did you enjoy it?" Lisa asked. The assassin paused as if the question had never occurred to him before. "Yes, I think I did enjoy it. Before I understood that it was training for war." "Why did everything have to be about war?" "Because the Empire is always expanding. We must be ready to fight. Those who cannot fight are useless." Lisa stretched her legs carefully. Sitting on stone for hours was making her body ache, but she ignored the discomfort. What would happen if the Empire stopped expanding? What would your people do then? "That is impossible," Keth said quickly. "We have always expanded. It is our nature." "But what if it wasn't impossible? What if you found a way to live without constantly fighting?" The electrical weapon assassin spoke up. "We would not know how to live in such a world." "You could learn," Lisa said. "Humans had to learn too. We spent thousands of years fighting wars over everything. Land, resources, ideas, even which invisible beings we worshipped. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times." "How did you stop?" "We didn't stop completely. We still have conflicts. But we learned that working together gets us more than fighting each other. When humans cooperate, we can build things that no single person could ever create." Lisa looked around at the assembled assassins. Half of them were now sitting or kneeling. Their weapons lay forgotten on the floor around them. "What kind of things?" asked the scarred assassin. "Starships that can cross the galaxy. Medicines that cure diseases that used to kill millions. Art and music and stories that make life worth living. We went from living in caves to walking on other planets in just a few thousand years." "We have starships too," Keth pointed out. "Yes, but you built them for war. We built ours for exploration and trade and communication. Different purposes create different results." Another assassin, one who had not spoken before, raised his head. "I have seen human art. It is strange. Beautiful, but strange. Why do you create things that serve no purpose?" Lisa smiled. "Beauty is a purpose. Joy is a purpose. Making people feel less alone in the universe is a purpose. I do not understand. When you were young, before your training began, did you ever see something that made you feel happy for no practical reason? A sunset, maybe? Or the way light reflected off water?" The assassin was quiet for a long time. "Yes, there was a crystal formation near my birth den. When the red sun hit it at a certain angle, it would throw colors across the wall. I would sit and watch it sometimes. That's art, that feeling you had watching those colors. Humans spend their whole lives trying to create that feeling for others, but it serves no function in battle." "Not everything has to be about battle," Lisa said gently. "Some things are just about being alive and appreciating that you exist." Keth leaned forward. "You speak as if existence itself has value. Doesn't it? You've all lived through experiences that no one else has had. You've seen things and felt things that are unique to you. When you die, all of that disappears forever. That seems valuable to me." The silence that followed was different from any that had come before. Lisa could see the assassins looking at each other, really looking, perhaps for the first time. They were seeing individuals instead of just weapons. "We have never been asked to consider such things," said the electrical weapon assassin. "We are told what to do, who to kill, where to go. Our thoughts are not required." "But you do think," Lisa observed. "You're thinking right now. You're making choices about what to say and how to respond to me. That's not following orders. That's being alive." Keth stood up slowly. For a moment, Lisa thought he might attack her after all. Instead, he walked to where his weapon lay on the floor. He picked it up and looked at it as if seeing it for the first time. "This blade has killed over 3,000 beings," he said quietly. "Does that make you proud or sad?" Lisa asked. Keth considered the question. "I do not know. I have never thought about it before. Maybe it's time to start thinking about it." An hour passed in the chamber, then 2. Lisa remained sitting on the cold stone floor while the 12 assassins stood around her like deadly statues. But something was changing. The perfect formation they had maintained was becoming loose. Some of them shifted their weapons to different hands. Others moved a step closer or further away. Lisa began to speak, not in the formal diplomatic language she had learned in training, but in simple, honest words. "I grew up in Colorado," she said, looking up at Razorwing Keth. "It's a place with high mountains and thin air. When I was 7 years old, I got lost hiking with my family. I wandered off the trail and couldn't find my way back." The assassins listened without responding, but Lisa could see their red eyes focused on her. "I was scared and cold and hungry. I sat down under a tree and started crying. That's when an old man found me. He was a stranger, someone I had never seen before. He could have ignored me or hurt me. Instead, he gave me his jacket and walked me back to my family." One of the assassins, smaller than the others but carrying a weapon that crackled with electricity, spoke up. "Why do you tell us this story?" "Because it taught me something important. Most people, when they see someone in trouble, want to help. Not all people, but most. Even strangers." Keth made a sound that might have been amusement. "We are not people, human. We are weapons." "Are you?" Lisa asked. "Do you have families? Do you remember being young? Do you ever wonder about things that have nothing to do with killing?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Several assassins exchanged glances again. Lisa could see uncertainty in their movements. "I have a clutch sister," Keth said after a long pause. His voice was quieter than before. She died in the war for the Nexus systems. The battle accomplished nothing. We gained no territory, no resources. She died for empty space. Lisa nodded slowly. I'm sorry for your loss. Losing family is the worst pain there is. Another assassin stepped forward. This one had deep scratches across his armor that looked recent. My broodfather was killed by pirates. I became an assassin to gain the strength to hunt them down. Did you find them? Lisa asked. Yes, I killed them all. But it did not bring him back. It did not make the pain go away. Lisa felt something. Shift in the chamber. The air seemed less cold, less deadly. Pain like that never really goes away. But it can become something else. Something useful. What do you mean? Asked the smaller assassin. My grandmother lost her husband in the resource wars. She could have spent her life hating the people who killed him. Instead, she spent her life helping war orphans. She said that was the only way to make his death mean something. Keth lowered his weapon slightly. The movement was small, but in a chamber full of trained killers it was enormous. You speak of weakness as if it were strength. I think you have it backwards, Lisa said. It takes strength to help people. It's much easier to hurt them. But the strong survive. The weak die. This is the law of nature. Lisa shifted on the floor, trying to ease the ache in her legs. Is it? Humans are pretty weak compared to most species. We're small and slow and our skin tears easily. But we're still here. We've survived ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters that should have wiped us out. How? Asked another assassin. We help each other. When one human falls down, another picks them up. When one human doesn't know something, another teaches them. When one human is hungry, another shares food. We're not strong individually, but together we're almost impossible to kill. The assassin with the electrical weapon tilted his head. Your military files show humans fighting with great violence. We do fight when we have to, Lisa agreed. But fighting is just one tool. Most of the time, we use other tools. We talk. We trade. We share stories and food and ideas. We make friends. With our enemies whenever possible. Friends with enemies? Keth sounded confused by the concept. Why not? If someone is your enemy, it means they're strong enough to be dangerous. Wouldn't you rather have dangerous people on your side instead of against you? Lisa looked around. The circle had all 12 assassins. You're all incredibly skilled warriors. You could probably conquer half the galaxy if you wanted to. But what would you do then? Fight each other? We serve the Empire, one of them said, but his voice lacked conviction. Do you? Or does the Empire just point you at targets and tell you to kill? The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the silence of predators waiting to strike. It was the silence of thinking beings considering new ideas. Keth walked slowly around Lisa's position. His footsteps echoed in the vast chamber. You are trying to manipulate us with your words. No, Lisa said. I'm trying to understand you. There's a difference. What difference? If I was trying to manipulate you, I would be telling you what you want to hear. Instead, I'm asking you questions about what you actually think and feel. Another assassin spoke up. We are not supposed to think. We are supposed to obey. But you are thinking, Lisa observed. Right now. You're all thinking about things you probably haven't considered before. Keth stopped walking. Yes, we are. 6 hours had passed when the massive doors of the council chamber began to open. The sound echoed through the vast space like thunder rolling across mountains. Captain Morrison and his security team stood outside, weapons ready, expecting to see Ambassador Martinez's body on the stone floor. Instead, they found something that defied all logic and military training. Lisa sat in the center of the chamber, exactly where they had left her, but she was no longer alone. The 12 deadliest assassins in known space sat in a circle around her, their weapons laid carefully on the ground between them. The arrangement looked almost ceremonial, like some kind of ritual that no human had ever witnessed. Morrison stepped forward cautiously, his rifle raised. Ambassador Martinez, are you injured? Lisa looked up at him and smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. I'm fine, Jake, just sore from sitting on stone for 6 hours. Ma'am, what happened here? Sergeant Collins asked. Her voice carried the confusion that everyone felt. The scene before them was impossible according to everything they knew about Keltheran culture. Razorwing Keth stood up slowly. His massive form still towered over the humans, but his posture was different. He moved with careful deliberation, not the deadly grace of a predator. When he spoke, his words were measured and thoughtful. Captain Morrison, your ambassador has accomplished something that our war council believed was impossible. What do you mean? Morrison kept his weapon ready, but his finger moved away from the trigger. She has shown us that there are alternatives to killing. The other assassins began to stand as well. Lisa watched them carefully as she got to her feet. Her legs were stiff and painful after hours on the hard floor, but she managed to stand without stumbling. One of the younger assassins stepped forward. We came here to execute this human as an example to your species. We have killed thousands of beings without hesitation or regret, but we cannot kill her. Why not? Morrison asked. Because she made us remember who we are beneath the weapons and the training, Keth replied. She asked us questions that no one has ever asked. She listened to our answers as if they mattered. Lisa brushed dust from her diplomatic uniform. They asked me questions too, about Earth, about human nature, about why we do things differently. We had a conversation. A conversation? Collins repeated. For 6 hours? Good conversations take time, Lisa said simply. The electrical weapon assassin picked up his weapon and examined it thoughtfully. This device can kill 50 beings with a single discharge. I have used it many times, but I never asked myself why I was killing them, or whether they deserved to die. And now? Lisa asked. Now I think that killing should be the last choice, not the first one. Commander Thexval entered the chamber with a dozen regular Keltheran guards. He looked around at the scene with obvious confusion. The Shadowcast was supposed to be displaying the human's corpse by now, not sitting in circles having philosophical discussions. Report, he commanded. Keth turned to face his superior. Commander, we cannot complete our mission. Explain. This human has demonstrated a form of strength that we do not understand. She entered our chamber defenseless, yet she has proven more dangerous to our way of thinking than any army. Thexval's mandibles clicked in agitation. You are the Shadowcast. You do not fail. We have not failed, another assassin said. We have learned. Lisa stepped forward. Commander Thexval, I believe your war council is monitoring this chamber. Is that correct? Yes. They observe all executions. Then they heard everything we discussed. They know that your assassins chose not to kill me, not because they couldn't, but because they decided not to. The commander's black eyes fixed on her. You think this changes anything? I think it changes everything. Your empire has spent centuries conquering other species through fear and violence. But what happens when you encounter a species that refuses to be afraid? Keth moved to stand beside Lisa. The gesture was unmistakable. The deadliest assassin in the Keltheran Empire was positioning himself as her protector rather than her executioner. The human speaks truth, he said to Thexval. We are weapons pointed at enemies who may not need to be enemies at all. The War Council will not accept this reasoning, the commander warned. Then perhaps the War Council needs to have the same conversation we just had, Lisa replied. One by one, the other assassins moved to form a protective circle around Lisa. These beings who had never questioned an order in their lives were now openly defying their chain of command. Morrison lowered his weapon completely. Ambassador, what do you want us to do? Escort me to the War Council chambers. It's time to have a larger conversation. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Keth approached Lisa one final time. He performed a gesture that no human had ever seen before, lowering himself until his head was level with hers. Ambassador Martinez, you have taught us something that our training never covered. What's that? That the strongest warriors are those who choose when not to fight. Lisa reached out and placed her small human hand on the assassin's massive armored shoulder. You always had that choice, Keth. I just helped you remember it. The group moved toward the exit together. Lisa walked in the center, surrounded by her human security team and 12 Keltheran assassins who had become her unlikely allies. Behind them, they left a chamber where weapons lay abandoned on cold stone, symbols of a new understanding between species. The War Council was about to learn what Lisa had discovered in those 6 hours of conversation. Sometimes the most powerful weapon was the decision not to use one at all.